it's Kelly. You saw Kim's cute cut file, and this is how I'll be using it on my layout today. I'm going to start in the Silhouette Design Studio to show you how I went about that. So when you open the ping, if you're a subscriber, you can download this for free from the February cut files. You'll open it and trace it with the trace tool so that you can turn it into a cut file. Now, I didn't want the line around the mat to cut, so I released the compound path so that I could erase it, and then I'm putting it together again. I'll make a compound path so all the hearts are connected. So I turned on the grid and I'm going to use the knife tool to cut the cut file in half. Then I'm going to drag away half of the cut file and erase the part I don't need or not going to use. So I'm going to ungroup it so I can erase all the half hearts because I want all my hearts to be entirely whole because I plan to do some stitching. So I can make that a compound path, and then I plan to use it in the corners of my layout. So I play around with it a little bit to get it right sized. I wanted some white space in the center of my layout, and so I didn't want the hearts to be really small, but I didn't want them to be this big. So I erased the copy and worked with half of it again till I got it to be the size I wanted, copied it and reversed it and put it in place. So when I make this a compound path and turn it to red, you can see exactly the cut file I use for my layout. So let's get started with that. So here we are. Here's my cut file that I just made in the Silhouette Design Studio. I picked some items from the main kit, including the mixed ephemera package, the puffy alphas, and the chipboard phrases. So this is the paper that I'm going to use to back my hearts, and I no longer had complete sheets. So I cut a piece of white cardstock that I knew would fit behind the cut file and taped a few different scrap pieces to my white cardstock. So that's a little idea for you. When you don't have a full sheet, you can take what you have and make it your own. So I played around with which colors I wanted to show through my hearts, and I'm going to be stitching the hearts with a chain stitch, and one side of my layout I wanted to have the purples and blues primarily, and the other side is more of the greens and blues and the peachy color. So that worked out quite well with this beautiful paper from the Hip Kit this month. The kit's called Kaleidoscope, and so it's all about rainbows, and I just loved how all the colors peeked through the cut file. So I'm going to bring on my thread caddy, and I happily just organized them all into a rainbow fashion, and I'm just going to do a quick demo on the chain stitch for those who haven't seen it before. So I'm poking the holes by hand about every quarter inch apart, I would say, and that's the foam mat I use. So I've poked the holes in my first heart and chose a thread color that's not identical, but it complements the color of the paper behind the heart. And so I come up through the first hole, down through the second hole. Easy first step. Now I'm going to come up through the third hole. I'm going to come to the front with the needle, go under the first stitch, and back down through the hole I came from. Easy breezy. Let's do a couple more. I'm going to come up through the next hole and pass the needle under the previous stitch and go back down through the hole I came from. And I took the entire weekend to stitch all of these hearts It did take a while, but I'm making this for my bestest girlfriend. She'll be moving soon, and I'm really sad. And that's a whole nother story. But she's just been the greatest gal to have close by, and I guess I'll just get a lot of air miles now when I'm visiting her. I'm gonna miss you, Nadine. So bring on the weekend and the stitching, and here it is all done. Looks cute from the front or the back. So I'm going to scrap a family photo that just couldn't have matched any more perfect to the layout I've designed, and I've printed it at 3 by 3.5, and I'm going to trim it down so that there's just a 1/4 inch white border. I like it how it fades into the border on this particular photo, and I'm going to mount that on a piece of vellum using my Tombow tape runner, and then I'm going to pop up the photo with foam tape onto my cut file. And so I like how the vellum gives the photo just a whisper of a border, but you can still see your design beneath it. I do like when you have multiple matting around your photo, but on this design I didn't think I really needed it because I didn't want to cover up too much of my stitching. And so I'm going to grab a few of the ephemeras, and if they're sticky and you like to move them around, I just use a little bit of baby powder on the back, and it turns a sticky element into an element that you can move around your layout without worrying about it getting stuck down and pulling up any of your paper. So being that I am using the main kit only and my background is pretty busy, I didn't plan to use too many pieces of ephemera, just the ones that I thought matched really well. And some I'll be adding foam tape to create some depth and shadow on my layout, but some I'll just place directly on the background. It's always nice to mix that up a bit, I think. So I'm going to start with my photo and build around it. And so I'm going to speed this up a little bit. I'm just deciding where to place items, and I like to put my photo on a little bit of an angle. The nice thing about adding a matte to your photo is it gives you another couple of layers to tuck in some ephemera. And because I used vellum behind my photo, I can still see that ephemera past my photo, and then a few items can be tucked underneath that because I tucked or added foam tape to the back of my photo. And I'm designing this layout to go from left to right, from the bottom corner to the top corner, so I kept that in mind too as I was adding my ephemera. So the finishing touches are some dabs of acrylic paint with the tip of a few different sizes of paint brushes, and I used pink, blue, gold, and yellow. You could also do the splatter technique if you're comfortable with that. Works out great and always looks pretty. And so I want to thank you so much for joining me here today. Do stop by and enjoy the other inspirations with the team, and have a great week, and we'll see you again soon. Some close-ups are coming up at the end. Cheers!